All right, folks. Well, it's always a treat to talk to this gentleman. I'm talking with John Corabi today here on Do You Know Jack Radio. John, how you doing, man?
I'm all right. How are you doing, buddy?
It's great, but I must say you are keeping yourself busy, and things are constantly in an upward trajectory for you. I mean, wow, the Dead Daisies now.
Yeah, this was kind of it was kind of an unexpected phone call. You know what I mean? But it's a great band, and we're all like really good friends. We've known each other for God years,
Yeah.
so it's a treat all around. You know what I mean? To be able to play with guys with this kind of talent, and the fact that we all kind of just like each other and have fun. You know what I mean? It's pretty awesome.
Now, this group has commonly been, called a super group, but from what I've seen with the touring schedules and whatnot, you guys are pretty legit in terms of how busy and you're constantly going.
Well, again, the fact that we've been in the business for as long as we have kind of affords us the luxury of, we've all got a nice little Rolodex full of friends and people that we can talk to. So we've been very, very blessed to be able to, God, just since I've been in the band, we've done a couple headline tours, but we've gone out with Whitesnake in Europe and America. We've done America, Australia, and Europe with Kiss. And then prior to me joining, they did some shows with Leonard Skinner, Aerosmith, and I think Paul Rogers, or
Wow.
either Bad Company or Paul Rogers, whatever. They've done a lot of stuff, but we've got a lot of friends in the business. Marco's been doing this for, all of us have been doing it probably 30 years each.
Yeah.
So we've kind of accumulated some friends along the way, and you're always going, oh man, hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm doing this thing called the Dead Daisies, and let me check it out, whatever. And so people are, they're kind of apt to help you out once they, obviously they know who you are. So
For sure. I love the story about how basically you got the call, and then maybe like a few weeks later, you guys were doing this sort of groundbreaking stint in Cuba, and there's a documentary for that and everything.
yeah, there was a documentary. There's everything. There was like a coffee table book, documentary. But it was interesting, man. Like it's funny. I was in Canada with my solo band. I did some shows. I came home, and then I got a phone call as I was pulling into my driveway at home, and it was Marco asking me to come out to LA to meet the guys, which I did. So I went out there, I met everybody, and then oddly enough, like a couple weeks later, I was in Canada, and I think Montreal had it had to have been like one of the worst days ever, but it was literally like 40 below
Oh
your
my.
temperature, the Celsius thing. It was snowing,
Yeah.
and and then I did like Montreal, Ottawa, and Toronto, and then my guys went back on the bus to Nashville, and I went to I flew and I flew down to Miami. So like literally within 4 hours, I was in like 40 below and snowing, and then I was in 95 degrees standing on a beach, so, but it was really super cool. We, like, from a historic point of view, being able to go to
Yeah.
Cuba, and see what it was all about. Like Americans aren't allowed, or they weren't for the longest time allowed to go there.
Yeah.
I mean, you could, but you had to go like some random, like go to Mexico City or go up to Toronto and then fly down and,
Yeah.
whatever. So it was like this weird thing, but they lifted all the sanctions, and we got to go down and just meet like, just these amazing musicians. And we went to a music school with all these young kids that were brilliant. And it just kind of hung out, man, and just met other musicians down there. And it was just cool, man. The food was amazing. The weather was amazing. And the fans were just out of their gourd crazy over the fact that we were there.
No kidding.
So it was pretty cool.
What's your biggest takeaway from that trip to Cuba, John?
Honestly, the biggest takeaway was just how important music is to the culture there. Like, there was music playing somewhere in the hotel all day long. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you'd walk down the street and you would hear music coming out of all the stores, and it's just such a huge part of their culture. Like, while you're eating dinner, there's a salsa band playing, or there's this thing going on, or they had like this parade with this full band behind them. It was just, it's daily. You know what I mean? It's a huge part of their life, and they love it. They can't get a lot of things American, but so like these kids and musicians, like if they needed things like strings or picks or whatever, just little accessories, they would literally send money to a friend in America, have them buy the stuff, and then they'd have to send it back down because they couldn't get American products like that. You know what I mean?
Wow.
But it didn't deter them at all. Like, they just part of the routine, man. You know what I mean?
Music will find a way, I guess.
Yeah. If you want something bad enough, you'll find a way. And it was crazy. And then, like I said, the fans just came from literally 8 hours away from the other end of the island because this, I know the band was formulated in Australia, but we're still very much American, and we went down with, we took a couple friends, Bernard Fowler and Daryl Jones, down with us too from the Rolling Stones. And it was like conquering heroes coming home after a war. It was unbelievable. It was awesome.
That's really cool. Well, and then right after that, you guys cut Revolucion, which is sort of an inspired record from that very trip, from what I understand.
Yeah,
I'm assuming with the title.
Probably not so much the music. I mean, we did record a couple of songs down there, and we used some Cuban musicians on Evil and Midnight Moses. So we did those down there. But honestly, like, we went to Australia and we just wrote the way we write, and we came up with the rest of the record. But it was just, the artwork was really kind of inspired by the Cuban thing, because no matter where you looked, you could see still on buildings, like the word, it would say "Viva la Revolucion," and it was just everywhere, like spray painted and, all this other stuff. And so we're sitting there like, what do you want to call the record? But at the same time, we're looking through these photos.
Yeah.
And it was just like, hey, why don't we call it Revolution? And Marco goes, well, if we're going to call it Revolution, we should just call it Revolucion the way they do it. Because you saw it everywhere.
Yeah.
So we're like, let's do it.
Did you keep in touch with some folks down there? Like, were they like, wow, we're flattered at the title? What was the Cuban response to the record, I guess would be my question.
Actually, I believe, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that it was a Cuban artist that actually helped us put the artwork. We actually did call them and ask them to help put the artwork together. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was awesome. And you know what? It's so weird, man. Like, it's so unfortunate, like, for the normal Joe guy, but like, politics just kind of gets in the way. And I get it. Look, we had, 1960, Russia moved into Cuba and started putting missiles in, and, America had to flex, and, whatever. I get it. But it was like 50 years of just trying to squash this island. And, we finally let our foot off their neck, and they were happy about it, and it's just crazy. Like, I looked out over the audience, and I just saw these faces of these people that were just I mean, crying, like watching us play on stage. They were crying,
Wow.
and they just were like so happy that we could come, you know. And but you look over the audience, and I saw Beatles T-shirts and Guns N' Roses, and you know the Rolling Stones, and like all the stuff. Like they're aware. They were very aware of what was going on.
Yeah.
It just nobody could play there.
Yeah. Yeah, the internet certainly has changed the way, people get access to music and culture.
Yeah, but it was a great trip, man. Honestly, I highly recommend. Like, you know, because let's face it, now the boot is off the neck, and you know, I'm sure that a lot of these corporate companies are going to go down, and they're going to, you know, the next time we go there, there'll probably be a McDonald's and a Starbucks, and you know, whatever. But I just highly recommend now to go down, because you can literally go down there for like a week, and you can go on beaches and enjoy the culture and the food, and it's very cheap still. You know what I mean? It's still very cheap down there. Like you can go, like we were at a restaurant. I bought Dizzy myself. I bought myself a whiskey, and Dizzy and Brian a rum and Coke. And then I had these tapas things with like salmon or whatever on it.
Uh-huh.
And like, I think it was like, it was less than $10.
Wow.
Like I had 3 drinks. The drinks were like, I think $2, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I bought 3 drinks for $2 in like the nice 5-star hotel. Like, you know what I mean? It was like $2 a drink. And then these salmon tapas that were amazing. Like I had like 3 or 4 of them. We were sharing them.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked up the tap, and it was like $12.
Wow.
You know what I mean? $10, something like that. It was weird.
Definitely sounds like a destination place.
Yeah, it's like, you know, go down, hang out, see what it's all about. You know, it's like anywhere else. You know, I'm sure you talk to somebody and you go, hey, man, what neighborhood should I not go to? You know, I've been to Honduras, for a vacation, and it was great. You're in beaches, you're on the resorts, but they say, hey, if you stay here, you're good. Just don't go in that neighborhood, you know, and you're fine. You have a good time. You meet new people and check out their cultures, and it's killer.
Yeah, well, and that would be anywhere, too. Like, if I went to New York City, there's obviously places there that I'm not going to want to go.
Exactly. And it's the same, honestly, in Nashville, where I live. You know, there's some neighborhoods you just don't want to go walking through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it is what it is.
Well, now, fast forward, though, up, another year, and here you guys have dropped just on August 5th another great record, Make Some Noise. And, now, from what I understand, the process of your band is you kind of have to, come in from, the different corners of the globe that you're located at any given time and essentially schedule some time out, right? And just kind of bang it off in a quick and professional manner.
Yeah, it's funny. Like the last 2 records we've done, our manager says, hey, our guitar player, David, flies in from Australia with manager.
Mm-hmm.
And, Brian, Doug, and Marco live in LA. I live in Nashville. This time it was cool for me because we recorded in Nashville with Marty Fredrickson. But it was, just from, a cost thing and being in hotels, and, we have a very limited amount of time to do the record. So last year we went to Sydney, Australia, and we wrote, recorded, mixed, and mastered Revelucion in like 32 or 33 days, something like that. And we pretty much did the same with this record. We had no songs. We also switched a member, Dizzy and Richard last year. They went back with Guns N' Roses for the big tour.
That's right.
So we entered Doug Aldridge, and Doug came in. We hadn't played a note of music with him. We didn't have any new songs. We're just like, hey, dude, what do you got? We just started opening computers and just throwing riffs at each other.
Yeah.
And we did the same thing. We literally wrote, recorded, mixed, and mastered this record in a little under 5 weeks. So
That's a testament, though, to how long you guys have been in the business, and the fact that this isn't your first rodeo.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like honestly, on the first record, when management told me that, I was kind of panicked.
Uh-huh.
But if you look at there's classic record series that they have on DVDs where you can watch how Queen made Night at the Opera and whatever. They had one on Machine Head by Deep Purple, and it was hilarious. Like I was like, wait, we gotta write and record a record in a month? No way! Like I was, but then I saw like Deep Purple did Machine Head record. It was their classic landmark record, and they did the entire process. Even after setting their gear up in the one hotel that burned down, and had to move to another place, then move to a third place because they kept getting evicted from everywhere. But they still did the record in like 3.5 weeks. So it can be done.
Yeah. I guess it's just getting used to the habit of making the time count.
Yes.
That and maybe, sometimes the access to the digital equipment makes things, makes people a little bit more perfectionist, because if you get a pass on a solo and you're not happy with the first result, well, you can just back it up, on Pro Tools and give her again. And maybe there's a little bit too much of that going in this stage.
Well, we have a bit of a thing. Like we wrote the songs on acoustic guitars. We were working them out, kind of got a map. Then we went in with Marty and we set everything up, and the band literally was in the room together. I could see them through a window. I had to be separated because of my vocal thing.
Yeah.
But I could see them through a window, and we were all communicating, and they all played. We just played live. We just laid the bed tracks down. We just basically laid the bed tracks down live. Then Doug would take those into another room, and he would just work out solos.
Mm-hmm.
And he would try a couple different things. And then I would go into another room with the same thing on a, and I would listen with headphones. And I would just constantly be working out the melodies and the lyrics. And then, like, I initially probably wrote, like, I probably had about 3 songs finished. And then Marty's like, all right, we'll do some guitars during the day, and then we'll start a vocal. And, about a few days in, like, the guys would do, like solos or whatever, there was very minimal overdubs. So whenever they were doing stuff and Marty was tweaking sounds, and once they would get done doing that, I would go in, he'd have a microphone. I literally stayed in the booth right next to him.
Mm-hmm.
And he got me a great tone. And it's like, we started knocking out the songs, like, and the guys would come in and they would get all jazzed, like, oh, dude, it sounds great, And I think once you start hearing things, you start getting excited, and the wheels start going, and it kind of helps the process along. You know what I mean?
For sure.
But it was great having Marty as well, having that, not just a producer, but Marty's a great drummer, great guitar player, but he's a great songwriter. When you go back and look at some of the stuff that he's written, like Jaded for Aerosmith, Just Push Play, you know what I mean? Like, he's done some really cool stuff with Aerosmith, Motley, Def Leppard, Ozzy, so he's been around for a while. So having a fresh set of eyes and ears to look at something, and I would walk in with lyrics and a melody, and I go, hey, dude, what about this? And he'd go, it's good, but what about this? And he would come in from another angle, and you're like, oh my God. Like, I never even thought to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you guys have made a great, meat and potatoes kind of rock and roll album. And, this is your second full record with the band. And, you've had, maybe a little bit more time to find your comfort zone and, I guess cement your status, so to speak. So, there's definitely some confidence there as well. Yeah,
we just, honestly, dude, that's all we wanted to do. We didn't overthink anything. Even when we worked on the songs, we played them, we recorded them.
Yeah.
We didn't really want to overthink everything. We just wanted when Marty came into this thing, he goes, what do you guys want to do? and we were like, just, a kick-ass 70s style rock and roll record. And then while we were doing it, Marty was like, you know what? This kind of reminds me of it's like Aerosmith Rocks meets AC/DC meets Appetite for Destruction. Not a lot going on. The songs are great, but it's just energy.
Yeah.
It's a kick in the teeth, and there's not a lot of overdubs, and it's not overly produced.
Yeah.
Well, and we pretty much went with our gut instinct on all the songs. As soon as we wrote them, we went in and laid them down.
Yep. Well, and I think you've said, not having the, Dizzy in on keyboards too made this a little bit more of an in-your-face record.
Yeah, and I love Dizzy, and we all do. We still talk. I just saw Dizzy and Richard a couple weeks ago in Nashville when they played, but it was David. I guess David initially, the guitar player, he really wanted to do the two guitars, bass, and drums thing, and it was John Stevens, their old singer, that kind of insisted on having a keyboard player.
Yeah.
So when Dizzy and Richard said they were leaving, David was like, well, let's just try this.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't work, we'll get a keyboard player, but let's try it.
Yeah.
And obviously you're listening to the results. So
for sure.
It's just, I think it is definitely a bit more aggressive than our last record. I'll say that.
Yeah. Well, now you did, mention Motley in passing, so I would be remiss if I didn't, mention the fact that you guys filmed one of the Motley 94 performances. Is there any, specific release date on that yet?
I'm just trying to figure it out. Initially, we were talking about doing it in August, and, the label wants to make sure that we don't step on the toes of what's going on with the Dead Daisies.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that it is absolutely recorded. It was mixed by Michael Wagner.
Nice.
It's recorded. There's a DVD. And we did the whole thing, and it's, I'm just sitting there. It's in the can. The record label's got it. And as soon as I'm done this on September 19th, I'm going to give them a call and just say, hey, what's the plan? What do we got going on? So it's definitely happening. The record is called 94 Live, One Night in Nashville. And it's pretty much the same thing. Like, I wanted to make it, or not, I don't want to say make it. The idea was to keep it pure.
Yeah.
What this stuff would have sounded like, without a lot of stuff on it, so we literally went into Nashville, had a couple nights. I rented a club. We invited a bunch of friends down, opened it to the public. And I literally went in and we recorded one show and recorded it. And I just had Michael honestly mix it and just maybe, if there was a way to, I'm not a gearhead. So I was like, yeah, can you make the drums a little bigger? Is there something you can run them through to make them bigger?
Yeah.
Yep. Just did that, but there was really no overdubs. There's a couple little warts in there, you know what I mean, here and there, but it's cool. That's what I wanted. I didn't want a lot of overdubs. I didn't want a lot of fixing. And my guys actually, I got to be honest, they played their butts off, So we went in, we knocked it out, and so that'll be coming soon too. So.
Now, we talked about you working with Mick last time too, which was, way back. We talked in February of 2015, but now that you got your schedule with the Daisies going, it's been a little bit, of a challenge maybe to work Mick Mars in, eh?
I got to call him when I get home. I got to try and figure this out because, it's weird. Like, a lot of fans are kind of asking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to try and see what the deal is. But
yeah.
If I can help Mick, I will. I'd love to. I love that guy. He's a great dude.
Yeah.
Great person. And I think he's an underrated guitar player.
Yeah.
So anything I can do to help, I would love to.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I've been reading a few things here and there, and I know, like, in one previous interview, you've spoken to his, tremendous heart and his, his generosity, and how like a lot of people don't see that because he's kind of a bit of a introverted type guy.
Yeah, he's again, Mick's truly one of the nicest people I've ever met, and it's kind of led to him being. I think I told you this before, taken advantage of a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, and I feel bad about it. I mean, he's not a boo-hoo guy though either. Like he won't sit there and, Mick doesn't boo-hoo or, he just picks himself back up and he just starts trudging forward, and he always has. So
yeah.
I dig the guy, man, and especially now with all the stuff he's gone through with his health, and I always ask him, I'm like, dude, how you feeling? Everything cool? He's like, yeah, I can't bend over to tie my shoes. I can play the guitar. So you gotta admire that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate the fact too that, I mean, if you do something with Mick, you want to be full on and you don't want to be distracted by other things. Like you want to be committed to that time.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, I know somebody gave me some grief or whatever. I made a comment and I said, well, I'm not doing it for the money. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need the money. You know what I mean? And it's like, I wasn't saying it to be cocky or whatever, but it's like the fact of the matter is I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it because I adore Mick and I want it to be cool, So I just want to make sure that I have the time to focus on everything that I need to be focusing on. Like if I'm, I can do 5 or 10 things, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. As long as I can give each thing 100% while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes any sense, but it does to me.
Right on, dude. Well, like I said, it's always a pleasure and an honor talking to you, man. I definitely, I like your, how introspective you yourself are, and how you understand your art, and you just, you put it out there. You're in 110%. So, that's awesome. And far be it for me to say keep doing what you're doing, but I mean, I guess that's all I can say. After this awesome talk.
I appreciate it, buddy.
Right on.
All good.
We'll chat with you at some point down the road, eh?
All right, buddy.
Have a good one.
I hope so. I don't know. Wait, aren't you like way up north Canada?
I am. I'm like, I'm almost like Arctic.
Yes. Like Yellowknife or something like that, right?
Land of the ice road truckers.
I got you. Well, you take care. That's right. I remember we were talking about that when the last time I talked to you.
Yeah.
So.
Right on. Well, like I said,
all right, buddy.
It was great talking with you.
All right, buddy. Be good. Be safe.
I will. Bye-bye.